Welcome to the Shoot This Now podcast. I'm Tim Malloy.
I'm Matt Donnelly.
And this is the podcast where every week, what do we do, Matt?
We talk about ideas, anecdotes, stories we've heard, magazine articles, other podcasts, anything that we think would be or make amazing film or television and should be adapted immediately. Thus,
Absolutely.
Shoot This Now.
And that's why we call it Shoot This Now.
Totally.
Not because it's like a gun thing.
It's not a gun thing.
If you're looking for our NRA podcast, that comes out on Thursdays.
That's called Shoot This Never.
Yeah. That's called Keep Shooting, brah.
Oh, my God.
What would we call our NRA podcast?
NR Hey.
Yeah. So past episodes, we've done things like a series of tweets that should be made into a movie.
Sure.
We've done magazine articles that should be made into a movie. We've done fake magazine articles that should be made into a movie.
Yeah.
Last week we did...
We do true stories sometimes.
True stories.
We haven't done this one yet, but, you know.
Yeah.
One of our, true stories that no one has discovered at all yet.
We did The Life of Angela Davis.
We sure did. We did a Craigslist ad for someone's apartment that is meant for affairs, for people to come in and have affairs. Yeah.
If these sound good to you, you should listen to past episodes, and you should also review us on iTunes at the iTunes store.
Absolutely. It's great karma.
It's great karma. Apple's one of those companies that's still okay. You can still trust Apple. Go for it. So this week we're going to talk about Sean Hannity.
Who the country is sort of talking about this week, but on a coincidental move. Everyone's talking about him, and we're going to talk about him too.
Tell me if you saw this one coming. Sean Hannity and Jimmy Kimmel got in a big fight that ended with Jimmy Kimmel apologizing for being homophobic.
And Sean Hannity inviting Kimmel onto his show.
It kind of feels like Hannity won that one. But Kimmel made some sort of anti-gay comments insinuating that Hannity and Trump were having a sexual liaison or a series of sexual liaisons.
Right.
And he apologized for that because it was bad to use that as a way to...
It started with... Kimmel made a joke about Melania Trump, the first lady, and then Hannity lashed out at Kimmel and called him Harvey Weinstein Jr. and also escalated their beef to Disney, whose television network ABC produces Jimmy's show.
Right.
So then in response to that response, Jimmy just said something like, does the president like you on bottom, or just do something about it? So because we talked about this earlier, people sometimes make the correlation that the worst thing that anyone could ever do is engage in man-on-man sex, which is homophobic.
Yeah, there's a way to make that joke. He's basically calling him Trump's toady.
Yeah.
Or like his sort of secondary, a not as good member of the partnership, is I guess the insinuation there.
Yeah.
As if
or
being
a submissive to.
Yeah,
what
which
he's
is
saying.
That's a lame thing to say. Yeah. And
Boo.
definitely brought in like a insult to a whole bunch of gay people in addition to the person he was actually trying to insult.
Which is so funny because what we have to talk about today is also very insulting to gay people, and not the first time it's involved Sean Hannity.
Funny story, Sean Hannity also has a history of saying things that are not cool about gay people.
The Fox News host does.
And maybe we should start at the top.
Okay.
Quoting Hannity from a 2013 interview in which he said, "Over the years, I have evolved into more of a libertarian when it comes to people's personal lives." So Sean Hannity now may be totally woke on these issues. I use the word woke again. I hate that word, but I can't find a better way of saying it.
Yeah,
and I'm saying it a little ironically because I'm sure Sean Hannity would hate to be described. The worst slur we could use against Sean Hannity is woke.
It's woke. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't even should we call it the people who name iPhones for a better word? Or do slogans? What would it be? What would it ever be?
I don't know. Decent.
Smizing? I don't know. I was thinking of awake.
Yeah, just be decent.
Decent, yeah.
Just be
cool.
an okay person.
Just be cool. Don't be uncool. Just be cool. That's a Real Housewives joke.
Do the bare minimum to show respect to other humans. That's all. That's all it takes.
Oh, my God.
So this story is really close to my heart because I was dumbfounded when I heard about this. My friend Eric, who used to be a DJ at KCSB, UC Santa Barbara's college radio station, informed me that Sean Hannity also used to be a DJ at KCSB, UCSB's college radio station. And I went to UCSB.
And by the way, for anyone who's not a California resident, UCSB means the University of California at Santa Barbara.
Yeah, it's the best school in America. It's a great school.
Best school, but best campus? Because University of Southern California has its main campus here in LA, doesn't it?
It's one of the most charming colleges in California's Central Coast. It has produced such luminaries as Michael Douglas.
Amazing.
Non-graduate Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes, who went for a semester before she got a job and then dropped out.
And she's one of your all-time favorite people.
She's one of my all-time favorite people.
Comedian Moshe Kasher went there.
Oh my God! I can only imagine what he was like there.
He says in his autobiography or memoir, I guess it's a memoir, that when he applied to UC Santa Barbara, he said, "Look, I am totally sober. I have quit doing drugs and everything at the age of like 15. You need me there to sort of provide ballast against all the people who are wandering around like drunk and stoned zombies all the time up and down Isla Vista." Referring to me and my friends, which I did not appreciate. Yeah. But it has a reputation as a bit of a party school.
It's a little bit of a party school, but also like it's in the context of like Santa Barbara is the American Riviera. Yeah. It is the most stunningly gorgeous place full of like nature and some hippies and some Hollywood money, and not too far away is Montecito, which is the real pseudo-power, Oprah country.
It's such a beautiful place, perfect Mediterranean climate.
It's ridiculous is what it is.
And so two-time college dropout, Sean Hannity went, that's where I should go.
This is the place for me.
To try to get a job in college radio. He was 27 years old.
Oh, God.
Looking to get his start. According to a great Washington Post article that was written about him, it was 1989, coming up on the 30th anniversary of this. He was doing a lot of handiwork. Mm-hmm. He was doing stuff like hanging drywall, painting, things that are great.
Wallpapering.
And way more valuable, some would say,
both
than what he was doing on college radio at UCSB, which was having kind of a shock jock type show.
Yeah.
Where he talked about being like sort of a conservative voice in Santa Barbara, but his sort of side hustle was saying some things that were, well, I'm not going to characterize them.
You're just going to read them.
Just going to throw them out there.
This is the content he would proliferate on the airwaves of one of the most liberal, wealthy, limousine liberal
places,
in the world, yes.
Yeah. In April, according to the Washington Post article, Hannity shared his theories about AIDS as a tape of the show reveals. Quote, "What is the cover-up all about that the media is hiding from the general public? Contrary to what we hear in the general media, you can get AIDS from saliva, from tears. They won't let you say it's a gay disease."
Oh, my God.
He also said he wouldn't want a gay teacher telling his child that homosexuality is an alternative lifestyle. And this is from the Post. He egged on a guest who claimed that AIDS was spreading among gay men because they consumed each other's feces.
Wow.
Jody Mae Chang, who also had a show, Gay and Lesbian Perspectives, offered you guessed it, Gay and Lesbian Perspective on KCSB, calling in to Hannity's show to have a talk with him. She mentioned she had a son, and Hannity replied, "Artificial insemination, aren't you married to a woman, by the way?" She said she was. Hannity and his guest, an anti-gay activist, bantered about how her son came to be. The guests referred to turkey-based her babies.
Oh, my God.
Hannity said at one point, "I feel sorry for your child." Later in the hour, Hannity added that, quote, "Anyone listening to this show that believes in homosexuality is just a normal lifestyle has been brainwashed. These disgusting people." Hannity is subsequently kicked off the air because KCSB is a pretty liberal station, I think it's safe to say. He calls the ACLU and says he's being kicked off because he's a conservative.
Which is kind of like him pulling a huge stunt in itself, right?
We see so many later Hannity tactics in 1989 when he's 27 years old doing college radio on a show at a college he does not attend. He goes after the media and says the media is hiding the real story. This is in 1989. I mean, like in 1989, the media wasn't even that liberal, I don't think. I can remember reading things on like the LA Times and going like, oh, like it's good to get both sides here.
And there was no connectivity like with Twitter or like where a story can amplify so quickly.
Yeah, he was really ahead of the curve in calling out the fake media or the fake news or whatever. And then also this, I think you have to call this a troll, going to the ACLU, which is well known in 1989 because in 1988, George Bush has accused Michael Dukakis of being a card-carrying member of the ACLU.
Oh, wow.
And called him a liberal. And these were two meant to be very pejorative things. So Hannity is well aware of the ACLU's reputation when he goes to the ACLU for help. And I think he's almost daring them to turn him away. And I don't mean to read his mind, but if I were him, this is what I would do because
Yeah.
this is kind of funny. Kind of daring them to turn him away so he could say, look, the liberal ACLU believes in free speech, but not conservatives' free speech. Now, of course, this is the thing that we're getting into with Laura Ingraham right now, where are they being criticized for their conservative beliefs? Or are they being criticized for saying things that are totally beyond the pale as human beings? It's funny, there wasn't a huge boycott of Ingraham when she was just talking about conservative things.
Okay.
There was a boycott against Ingraham when she talked about David Hogg whining about college admission to a series of schools, including UC Santa Barbara.
Oh my God, that's literally amazing.
Hannity, of course, wasn't kicked off the air for being conservative. He was given a show where he was conservative. He was kicked off the air for the stuff he said about gays and lesbians. So I think this is the setup to a pretty good movie, a sort of comedy of errors where everybody is sort of going, okay, I defend this guy, but ugh. It's like a real test of like how free you think free speech should be.
Yeah, I think too there are two things going on. But other than something else that's super timely. There's something else that's super timely about this too, where it's not just worthy of adaptation because he's in the news this week. It's sort of like showing you, like you said, this is who he was at 27, and there's so many prototypical tactics of him that were already sort of baked in there before his ascent through media. But also, I don't know if you saw the stuff about The Simpsons this week. They sort of responded to a resurfaced criticism of one of their most historic episodes where they go into the backstory of Apu, an Indian gentleman who runs the Quickie Mart in Springfield. And in an episode that aired last week, they sort of addressed it after many months of like a backlash of how sort of racist the actual content was from so many years ago. And they used I don't want to get into like explaining what they said, but the thesis of how they responded to it was to say that no one is fully formed and perfect until now, that we realize that there's so much inequity and there's so much racism and like that kind of stuff. Like people in today's world are growing up and sort of maturing and crystallizing with a set of values that reflects a fair and wonderful culture, but something that was praised, like their episode about Apu 20 years ago that now reads differently, they shouldn't have to be responsible for because they are on their own emotional journey to grow and to learn how to be embracing, even the most well-meaning liberals. So I think it's sort of like that's not what Hannity's case is. I think he's maybe always been this way. And that to me is like a great origin story, almost like a villain's origin story.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
There's kind of a problem of, is there anybody to like in this story?
No. Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. I went to a live taping of Watch What Happens Live recently. Okay. The Bravo franchise. And the entire cast of Vanderpump Rules came. I've never seen one episode of the show. My friend who I brought was a huge fan of it, and she was freaking out. And I'm like, what is it about the show that's so good? And she's like, here's the thing. Casey Wilson, who's a comedian and an actress, broke it down the best she had ever heard it, which was like, I hated seasons 1 and 2 of Vanderpump Rules. And then I woke up in the middle of the night one night, and I realized, oh, my God. They're all villains. I don't have to like anybody on this show. She's like, we're so conditioned to have to like love some people. There are heroes, there are villains, there are like soft little mom characters. She's like, this is a show full of assholes. This is full of villains. I don't have to like anybody. And now I love the show. Yeah.
It's funny. I was reading Bonfire of the Vanities a little while ago, and I realized there's no one in this book I like. There's not a single person who is cool. But it's so readable.
Sorry, we're just picking up all the construction, but it's fine.
Let's let the working men and women of America finish their toil, so that we may continue our toil.
Oh, that's my annual, my every episode Tim judgment. Now that I've just made
I didn't do that. I wasn't criticizing you.
No?
No.
Okay, I thought it was like, oh, well, while the hardworking people use hammers, Matt will just sit here and pontificate on his microphone.
No. I work next door to this construction project. I know for a fact that we work harder than they do.
Oh, good.
If anyone's hearing a little bit of hostility in my voice towards the construction project next door, it should be known that they dropped a rebar column on my car.
Yes, on his car.
And it would be funny if I said like they dropped a rebar column on my Lexus or something, like so that I, cell phone myself as an elitist jerk. But it's not even a very nice car.
It's a hybrid VW.
It's a 2013 hybrid VW.
And they don't make them anymore, and you were very upset.
I was very upset.
You're still very upset.
I'm really upset.
Okay.
Yeah. There's probably enough here for people to identify me and run me off the road.
Exactly. But now, but speaking of villains all around, that's what you were just saying, that you don't like anybody. Like it's not every story has heroes. Sometimes they're all villains.
And I think that in this story, there are things about Sean Hannity you would kind of root for. He is like the blue collar